Greetings everybody, and welcome to a morning of landscape photography. So this morning I am optimistically out for sunrise. I would say, at least an hour prior to sunrise, which is, my normal approach. The weather forecast for this morning isn't fantastic, if I'm being perfectly honest with you. So there is a forecast of cloud, but all you need is one break in the cloud, one shaft of light, one smidge of colour, and the morning's complete. And as is traditional for me, whenever I do go away for landscape photography sessions, my last morning I do try very hard to make it out for sunrise. It's kind of a thing for me to try and do that. So that's why I'm here. But the purpose for today's video isn't just to document a sunrise landscape photography shoot. What I'm actually going to do is try and talk to you about why I use zoom lenses as opposed to primes for my practice of photography. Why for me a zoom lens is a Swiss Army knife in terms of my landscape photography kit, and why I think primes would frustrate me. Now, I would like to add a quick caveat. I am fully aware that there is a quality trade-off between a prime lens and a zoom lens. Very, very well aware of that. That said, I would like to make the point that I save up long and hard for the best quality zoom lenses that I can afford. So in the Olympus range that I'm currently using, the zoom lenses, most of the zoom lenses I use are the Pro zoom lenses, so they're fully weather sealed, they're the best quality glass that Olympus produce, etc, etc. So I just want to make that point before some of you switch off, because your view is, well, if it's not a prime, then it's not worth it. So time to go and have a little bit of a wander and see what I can find. I shall join you when I found something. See you soon. Okay, so I've swapped to in camera mode now, simply because I do think today's sunrise shoot is going to be a little bit of a bust. Rain is falling, excuse me, a couple of minutes before sunrise, and really not a lot is going on. So the item that I was going to capture is on the screen. It's the boathouse at Rydal Water. So I'm just leveling the camera up, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom right out with my zoom lens so you can see the entire scene. So I'm going to have to create a bit of a false situation here, i.e. I'm going to capture this boathouse in 16:9, and that's going to be my frame, because that's what the video camera actually does. So there's the entire scene. I'm going to put the boathouse, I'm actually going to put the boathouse sort of there, so more less water, more sky, and I'm going to gradually zoom in I'll bring the camera down, keep bringing it down, keep bringing it down. Right, I'm going to stop there. I'm going to trim off a bit more water. I'm just going to bring it down. Now, I'm just going to stop there for a second, because in the top right hand corner there is a peak, there's a little tree, and there's a hint of mist. It's not wild, but it is, it's part of the scene. And my decision is whether I include that in my scene or not. Is it contributing to the atmosphere of the boathouse? Is the kind of the question I'm going to ask myself. Is it contributing to what I'm experiencing right now, which is, it's a little bit cold. Oh look, we've now got geese. How cool is that? Quack, quack. I have to zoom back in again now. Right, where was I? Yes. So is it contributing to the atmosphere that I'm experiencing right now? Is it part of what I'm feeling, what my skin can experience, what I can hear in my ears? It's notional, isn't it? It sort of is, sort of isn't. So, nah, I'm not going to include it. I'm going to keep trimming the scene down and keep going, keep going, keep going. Right. So now I've done that, what I've noticed is that on the right hand side there is a skeletal tree with some autumn colour on the top of it. If I move the frame that way, now it's right on the edge, right hand side, right on the right hand edge of the frame, easy for me to say. So that could be my bookend, my edge of the frame, the object that's going to stop my viewer from wanting to move outside the edge of the image. But now what I'm looking for is a complementary object on the, sorry, I said that the wrong way around. The skeletal tree is on the left hand side. So I'm actually brushing the edge of it with the frame right now. So it's early in the morning, give me a break. I haven't had coffee. But now what I'm looking for is a complementary object on the right hand side of the frame. And you could argue that, where's my finger? This tree here is strong enough in presence to act in the same way as my skeletal tree right there. So if I come along a little bit, like so, so those two trees are on the edge of the frame, I'm going to come down slightly to include a little bit more water. Not too much, because I don't want this tree here breaking the edge of the frame. This one here, that just holds that corner, and then in software I'll probably darken that corner down slightly just to balance the image. Now the boat house is very, very central, and it's looking to the left hand edge of the frame. So normal convention would request, rule of thirds and all that nonsense, it would request that the boathouse has more room to look into as opposed to less room. So if I move it that way, all of a sudden I think the boathouse becomes cramped, because it's looking almost straight into the edge of the frame. Whereas if you compose it that way, it's got more room to look into. But I've now lost my bookend. So let me come back out. What have we got? What's that there? Let me just zoom in. Okay, there's a group of skeletal trees here. Where's my finger gone? There's a skeletal tree just there that my finger's brushing over, and then there's a quite autumnal tree here. Now, can I use those trees to create a more balanced exposure? Yeah, I think I can. So let's do that. Let's just level the scene up a little bit. So I have a skeletal tree here. That's acting as a bookend for that edge of the frame. And then I've got a hint of a skeletal tree here and a blob of colour, and there's some more skeletal features just there. I'm just playing with the edges of the frame left and right with the tripod just to see whether I can increase that motion or not, which I think I can. I've now got a hint of sky, not really a huge amount I can do about that, but I could trim that off in software so it's not quite a 16:9. I've got nothing breaking the edges of the frame. My focus point will be that boathouse. Yeah, I think that's probably the frame for me. What I've tried to do there is demonstrate how I've used a zoom lens to compose the scene, and how I started with a wide view and then I've used the zoom lens to trim that view down so that it just contains the core components that mean something to me. And you know, that's why a zoom lens is such an important part of my kit. I've only got 20 megapixels to play with. I say only, I mean that's being a little bit unfair, but I have only got 20 megapixels to play with. I don't want to get home and have to be trimming off huge chunks of my images in order to make them work compositionally. And this is why, for me, getting this right in camera and using the zoom lens to help me get the compositional components right is just so key and such an important part of my overall process. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to check the front of my lens because it is actually raining. It looks okay actually. So I might actually take that image, but then I'm going to move down the shoreline because light levels are now starting to build quite quickly as the sun should be up wherever the sun is. I'm not seeing any of it right now, but I'm going to move a little bit further down the shoreline and find some other compositions using that boathouse. I really should have been a little bit quicker taking that image because now I've actually not got a reflection underneath the boathouse, but there we go, can't be helped. So I've actually moved a little bit further down the shore. So I'm now, which way did I move? I moved to the right. And I didn't actually move very far because I suddenly noticed that there is a clump of trees on the right hand edge of the boathouse that are now threatening to obscure it. So what I'm now doing is I'm moving the frame left and right, in and out, and I'm looking to see whether I can create a combination. And I appreciate, right, this video should maybe really be entitled, you know, using both the combination of the tripod and a zoom lens, but it's the zoom lens that I'm really trying to focus in on. Now you see the boathouse is still bang in the middle. I do seem to have a tendency to do that, don't I? So, alright, so if I leave it there and go in quite tight, so it actually has more presence. I zoom out. I've lost my reflection. I had a reflection a second ago. Yeah, that's probably a about as good as I'm going to get it. So sorry, I needed to just do that and not necessarily talk about it. If you are enjoying this video and would like to support my channel, then please click on the thumbs up icon indicated here. To be notified when I upload new content, which will be every 2 weeks, then please consider subscribing. It's free and you can unsubscribe at any time. As well as subscribing, click on the bell icon and select all in order to get these notifications. All updates for new videos appear here on the top right hand side of your YouTube homepage. So I'm using a skeletal tree again as one bookend. I've got room for the boathouse to look into, and then I'm trying to use a combination of, there's a blob of colour here and this skeletal tree here, so those two in combination are very similar to those two. This bush that's up here, I don't want it breaking the horizon line. This one here, right on the very edge, I've just given it a tiny amount of room, and then again this corner here I'll probably dim down in software. Now what I would really love is the water to just go still a little bit and create me a little bit of a reflection. That would be really, really quite nice. So what I'm going to do now, having found this particular composition, is I'm just going to stand and wait for a few minutes and see whether the surface of the lake will settle down just enough for me to get a hint of a reflection underneath. If not, I'll just take the picture anyway, because breakfast time is calling, and as my son used to say when he was little, my tummy is a rumbling. Right, so that's going to be my next task. So it was a little bit of a shame really that this outing was a little bit of a bust, both in terms of the light and the fact that it's drizzling, but hey, there we go, can't be helped. And I hope the explanation made some sense. You know, I will say lens choice is a personal choice, but I hope I've been able to demonstrate that, you know, having the flexibility, being able to move the camera quite flexibly on the tripod and use a zoom lens to be able to you know, crop bits of the scene out actually optically at the time. It's I mean, it's second nature for me now. I don't even think about it, but I would be really lost without a zoom lens, and I hope I've been able to demonstrate that. Thank you very much for watching.